You said it again this year. Where did the time go? It slipped out of you halfway through a sentence, and nobody disagreed, because everyone in that room was quietly feeling the exact same thing. The year went fast, faster than the last one. And if you stretch that line backward far enough, you arrive at a childhood summer that seemed to last a geological age. Nothing about the clock changed. The year you just lost was the same 365 rotations as every year before it. So what did change? Time is not accelerating. You are compressing it. And the machinery doing the compressing sits inside your skull. Start with the fact that this is measurable. In the 1990s, a psychologist named Peter Mangan at the University of Virginia ran a simple experiment. Sit still. Count 3 minutes in your head. Say, stop when you think you have arrived. The young adults were almost perfect, landing within a few seconds. The older adults said, stop at around 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Their internal clock was running slow. They thought 3 minutes had passed. Reality had already spent nearly 4. And if your inner metronome ticks slower than the world outside it, the world outside feels like it is racing. But why does the metronome slow? The oldest explanation came from a French philosopher named Paul Janet in 1897. His idea was proportion. Every stretch of time gets measured against everything you have already lived. When you are 2, a year is half of your entire existence. It is an era. When you are 40, that same year is 1/40th. Same length. Much thinner slice. By this logic, the years between 5 and 10 feel as long as the years between 40 and 80. Does that unsettle you? The theory is elegant, but it leaves pieces out. So look at the hardware instead. In 2019, a Duke University engineer named Adrian Bechan published an argument about physics rather than feelings. His question was, how fast you can physically build an image of the world. Your eyes are not cameras recording a smooth stream. They jump. Tiny involuntary jumps called saccades, several times a second, each grabbing a fresh snapshot, while your brain stitches them into what feels like a continuous movie. Bechan's claim was that a young brain stitches faster. Shorter pathways, quicker signals, a higher frame rate. And if you experience time by counting mental images, then more images means more time. A child's day contains more frames than your day. As you age, the wiring lengthens, the frame rate drops, and a day made of fewer images feels shorter when it is over. You are not living less, you are sampling less. But there is a deeper layer, and it changes everything. Where does the feeling of a fast year actually live? Not in the moment. Nobody stands in a Tuesday afternoon thinking, wow, this is flying by. Tuesdays are slow. The feeling only arrives in December, when you look backward and the whole thing collapses into almost nothing. So the feeling is not perception, it is memory. David Eagleman, a neuroscientist then at Baylor College of Medicine, proved this by dropping people off a tower. Volunteers fell backward from 31 meters into a net in free fall for 2.5 seconds, wearing a device that flashed numbers just slightly too fast for a human eye to read. If terror really slows your perception into slow motion, they should have been able to read those numbers. Nobody could. But afterward, they estimated the fall had lasted about 36% longer than it did. They remembered a longer fall than they lived. Fear had switched on a fire hose of memory, laying down an unusually dense record of those few seconds. And when your brain judges how long something took, it uses the only ruler it has for the past. How much is stored here? Thick memory reads as long time. Thin memory reads as short time. That is the entire secret of the vanishing year. Because what fills a memory is not hours. It is novelty. Your brain is not a recorder. It is an editor. and it refuses to write down what it already knows. Your first day in a new city is stored in high resolution. Your 400th identical commute is stored almost nowhere. 10 years of routine can compress into a handful of images. 1 month of genuine newness can outweigh all of it. You have felt this and never named it. A week somewhere unfamiliar feels slow while you live it, then sits in memory as a large object, larger than the 2 months before it. The psychologist Claudia Hammond calls this the holiday paradox. Which one describes your last year? There is data behind all of this. In 2005, Mark Whitman and Sandra Lenhoff asked nearly 500 people, aged 14 to 94, how fast time seemed to pass. For an hour or a week, age made almost no difference. But asked about the last 10 years, the older the person, the faster that decade had seemed to go. And the strongest predictor was not age at all. It was pressure. The people who felt most stretched and most behind were the people for whom time flew. One last piece explains why childhood feels so vast. Memory researchers, including David Rubin at Duke, found the reminiscence bump. Ask an older adult to recall their life, and the memories cluster into a mountain between roughly 15 and 30. Not because those years mattered more, because those years were full of firsts. First love, first leaving, first city, first grief. Everything was being written down for the first time. Now look at the life you actually live. You have optimized it for the exact conditions that erase time. The same route, the same coffee, the same 11 apps in the same order. Whole evenings that vanish completely. Not because they were boring, but because nothing in them was new enough to keep. A frictionless life is a forgettable life, and a forgettable life, from the inside, feels short. So here's the thing nobody tells you. You cannot get more hours, but the felt length of your life is made of stored experience, and that supply is not fixed. It responds. Take a different road home. Learn something that makes you visibly bad at it. Go somewhere your brain has no existing file for. Break the pattern often enough that your memory has to start writing again. Do that, and the days will pass at the same speed as ever. But the year behind you will have weight, texture, edges. You will have made more time without adding a single minute. Your childhood summers were not longer. They were denser. And that density is not something you lost to age. It is something you slowly stopped choosing. So when December comes and you hear the sentence forming, pause first. Where did the time go? It went exactly where you put it.